Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video today, and today is a very special video because it is finally the end of the year. It's not quite, it's a couple days off, but since the new year is upon us, I thought we could reminisce back at some of the movies that were released this year, and specifically the movies that you just want to burn from your memory, because they are so awful. But yes, we are doing the worst movies of 2022 today. This is just 100% my opinion. If you don't agree with my opinion, that's completely fine. I would love to hear your options down in the comments, because I have a feeling that a couple of these are really going to upset some people, and that's honestly not just me trying to get a rise. I just genuinely didn't like these movies. Granted, some are worse than others, and I'm just going to give you a little summary of every movie that I think falls on this list, and I'm just going to rank them and just go and try not to get angry, because I have a feeling that this is going to be rough.
You killed my father!
No, Buzz. I am your father.
No!
Now, surprisingly enough, number 10 for me is Lightyear. I really did not like this movie. I saw it first when it came out. I was extremely excited for it because I grew up with the Toy Story franchise. So seeing that they were making another installment in this franchise, and a spin-off this time, I was pretty damn excited for this movie. And what I got was the most bland movie I have seen ever. Even for a Pixar film, I was just shocked how much I just wasn't enjoying the movie. The comedy didn't work for me. I was expecting it probably to be something a little bit different. I was more expecting this more grand Space Odyssey type adventure. But I really just didn't get any of that. And even if I was tampering my expectations, I just thought this movie was boring. There was nothing enjoyable in my eyes about this movie. Like, everything just seemed very bare bones. It wasn't funny. It wasn't endearing. Sure, it looked nice, but like, it looked nice. There are many animated movies this year that I would put leaps and bounds over this movie. I just didn't like it. It was a huge disappointment. And I just honestly am shocked that I have a Pixar movie on my list. But that's not stopping you for my next one, which is...
I don't think it's funny.
Again, Pixar come with the L. Turning Red is my number 9 spot. Before anyone says anything, before all the Turning Red fans come into my house and try to kill me in my sleep, I'm just being honest, I do not like this movie. I know there are a lot of fans of this movie. That is completely okay. I completely respect your opinion. And you know what? I even understand why. Because I actually have some positives with this movie, but most of them are negatives. But the one thing I consistently like about this movie is the theme. I like the message of growing up and trying to like disobey your parents, like branch out and be your own person. But that's a really great message. I really like that message. And if it was in a better movie, it'd be better, but I really just didn't like the movie, honestly. It was full of really annoying characters, a plot that I get it, but it's just like a whatever plot. It just seems so basic. Honestly, it was pretty cringy at times. I hate to say it. Like, I just didn't like the characters. The humor was cringy. Sure, it looked nice, but honestly, even from an animation point of view, it's really not my favorite animated movie, or even Pixar movie for that matter. It was just too exaggerated for me. I really didn't like it, and I knew I wasn't going to like it from the trailer, but I tried to keep an open mind. But this was a huge disappointment. I do not like this movie. And then we get on to number 8. Oh my, this one's a Texas Chainsaw, the remake. The only reason this movie isn't number 1 on my list is the sheer fact that I laughed so much during this movie. This movie is unironically one of the stupidest horror movies I think I've ever seen in my life. Like, it takes everything you like about the Texas Chainsaw movies, like the very first one, and just says, screw you. Like, it is so different and so tone-deaf from the franchise that it was built upon, and I just hated it. And I also hated how it tried to be this Halloween-esque, like, remake to reinvent the franchise, with, like, them bringing in their own, like, Laurie Strode-esque character. Really? And it was just... oh my god. This movie honestly just feels like an attempt to reboot a franchise into the modern age with the worst possible characters and the most dated just everything I have ever seen. Like, the plot of this movie, if you're not dying by the plot synopsis, I don't know what to tell you, because this is not a Texas Chainsaw. It's a terrible movie, and I really wish this would have just stayed dead, and this franchise would have just never gotten another movie.
Time to die!
No. It's morbid time.
And then my next movie on this list, it kind of applies a lot to Texas Chainsaw, where I had too much fun watching this movie, to put it lower, and that's Morbius. Listen, we've all know what Morbius is. We've seen the memes. Everyone has seen the memes. That is the only saving grace about this movie. Everything else about this movie is awful. It is boring. Jared Leto puts on a pretty awful performance, in my opinion. It's just full of just this cringe-worthy moments that just make no sense in terms of like what they're trying to do. No sense. It's just completely tone deaf. It doesn't know what it wants to be, and it just kind of tries to be a whole bunch of different things, and just freaking falls on its face. It's so bad. Do not watch this movie. I understand there are memes for this movie. Do not watch it.
Dude, those animals are so fucking funny. They make me want to merge without looking.
And then number 6 on my list, and before I say it, I like animated movies. I'm not trying to shit on animated movies or anything. I love them, but I want them to be good, and that is why I'm saying League of Super Pets is an abomination in the industry. I hate this movie, which is surprising because everyone really likes this movie from what I can see. All the reviews I see praise this movie. They say it's funny, it's entertaining, it's a great family movie. I couldn't disagree more. Like, this movie is just terrible. It is everything I hate in bad animated comedies and more. Like, it's so unfunny, and I understand it could be funny for children, but that's it. Like, and I just don't see how it's enjoyable for anyone above the ages of 5. It's just a terrible goddamn movie that they put a lot of money into it seems, because the cast is ridiculous, but they're not given enough material to even be slightly good, and I don't like, honestly, any performance in this movie. They're all just so bland. They don't do anything for me. They're not funny as well, and honestly, the animation, in my opinion, isn't even that great. Like, I hate to shit on animators, but this movie looks like a Nickelodeon movie. Like, or a movie that went straight to HBO Max. Like, really? This movie looks so ugly, in my opinion. And not even just with the animation, the designs themselves are trash in this movie. The only good designs are the pets in this movie, and that is it. Every other design I hate. They're so bad and just so poorly designed, and it just leads to this movie that is just a childish mess that I just do not understand the hype for, and I hate this movie.
Not funny. Different map.
And then we get on to the top 5, and I am so upset that this movie has somehow made its way into my number 5 spot. And it's Thor: Love and Thunder. What happened with this movie? I do not understand what Taika Waititi was smoking when he made this movie. I don't know why he thought, let's just make a comedy, but that's it. Let's not put any emotion into it. No genuinely good action. Let's make the CGI feel like shit. Let's just shit on every character in this movie completely and make it feel like a giant Hallmark comedy joke. What happened in this movie? Why is this movie so friggin' awful and absurd? Like, even for a Marvel movie, they tend to be a little bit goofy. This movie is unnecessarily just stupid. Like, I do not understand what they were smoking when they made this movie. This movie is dumbfounding to me how this movie was as bad as it was, and I don't even want to talk about it because guess what? I'm going to be making a video about this pretty freaking soon, so I'm just going to leave it at that. This movie's awful. Do not watch it. It makes me angry just talking about it. My God.
When can I leave to be on my own? I've got the whole world to see.
Oh, sorry. This is... That's what I feel watching this movie. Pinocchio, specifically the Disney remake. This movie was everything that a remake shouldn't be. It is literally almost like identical to the first film, but unlike what some remakes they make do, where they change certain things, everything that they change in this movie is the wrong decision, or the just most dumbfounding, cringy, awful decision. This film literally is just a remake of something that came before, and I understand that's the point of a remake, but it does nothing different with it. It is literally just a shittier version of the original film, and I don't understand why it was stuffed in this year with a whole bunch of other Pinocchio movies, and it's kind of dumbfounding that this is the worst one out of the 3. How did that happen, Disney? How did you truly make it that awful? And I just want to talk about the CGI effects too. It is the worst I've seen all year. I am 100% certain this is some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in a big-time production, or even, I don't even care that it was released on Disney+. Some of the scenes in this movie are dumbfounding how bad they look. Don't watch this movie. It's awful. Do not even bother with this movie. I was going to make a review of it, but I don't even want to, because it would mean I would have to give this movie attention. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm so sick of this movie. Minions is our number 3. Oh my god, this movie. This movie, I've already made a review of it, so if you want to see my rant/review of this movie, go watch that video. I'll put it in the description. But this movie is the biggest disappointment of the year in terms of a horror fan. This movie should have been great. It should have ended the Halloween franchise on the best note possible, but what we got was this really just misdirected movie that honestly just didn't feel like it knew what it was doing at all and tried to put in new ideas into the franchise that just did not work. It's just one concept that they go for, and then they're like, oh shit, this is a Michael Myers movie? Alright, just toss it in. Who cares? It just feels like they didn't make this as a Halloween movie and they just threw it in. And it's the worst possible film to end the franchise, and that's why it's at number 3, because it is trash. This movie is awful.
That is one big pile of shit.
And then, of course, my number 2 is Jurassic World Dominion. What happened? How did we get here where my favorite franchise of all time, movies that I grew up with, and now I have the worst feelings about the franchise? Not from those films. Those films are still great. But these 3 Jurassic World movies, what do they do? This is the worst of the franchise by far. This movie is so stupid, it's boring, which is criminal for a Jurassic Park movie where they're supposed to be entertaining. It can't even do that right. It takes all the characters and just mishes them together, and it's such a freaking cash grab. They put no effort into it, and they take this concept that could have been amazing, and they just do the same thing they've done in 6 other movies. Why would you do that? That is such a stupid idea. And just, my god, I hated it. I don't want to talk about it. I made a rant about it. If you want to see it, again, in the description. Fuck this movie. Just, I hate it so much.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
And now we get on to the last movie on this list, which, I'm going to be honest, I have never talked about this movie at all on my channel. Never before, but I was so excited for Men. And this movie was the biggest snorefest I had ever sat through in my life. This movie literally just feels like a middle finger, in my opinion. This movie makes me feel stupid, and I don't like that. And the reason it makes me feel stupid is because it has this movie and a really good director attached. He made the first Annihilation, which was a great movie, and it was really intriguing, and I really was excited to see what this film was really going to be about and the mystery behind this film. And it felt like the biggest fuck you on the planet. It is boring as shit. Nothing happens throughout the entire movie. There are certain aspects of the movie that are interesting, but they are never explained, and the only reason you would actually even slightly get these ideas is if you watched a fucking 5-hour documentary after on how this movie works. And I understand that the movie now it is a very... I hate talking about this movie. I don't even want to talk about this movie, but I have to. And I understand this movie is about toxic, relationships / masculinity. I get it. I get the premise of this movie. I'm not saying it is a bad movie because it is covering the specific topic. It's just fucking boring. It doesn't make any sense, and it feels like the most shock value movie I've seen all year, where just shit happens that you just sit there and go, what? What is the reasoning for this? And then it doesn't explain anything at the end, and it's just awful. It's freaking... I'm gonna stop talking about it. I hate this movie so much. If anyone likes this movie, cool, man. I do not care. I do not understand how people like this movie. It was the most boring movie I have seen all year, and yeah. But anyways, that is my top 10 worst movies of the year. This year's been a weird one. We've had some really bad movies, but we've also had some really good movies, which next video I will be talking about. I'll be covering my top 10 favorite movies of the year, so if you like what you saw here, please stay tuned for that. That should be coming out later in the week sometime. But anyways, if you like this video, please like and subscribe down below. It really shows your support, and I will see you all in the next one.